Kia ora team, how am I guys? I hope everyone is well. I've made this video here. It's kind of like the first of a series that I'm bringing out for my guys and for the general public at large, the ones before they become team members. Anyways, so what is this video about? Well, it's an education video in regards to the Safe Bars Aotearoa project, and it's a discussion video. This video is one of a set of videos that I've got coming out under the Safe Bars Aotearoa project. So this series is going to educate and upgrade everyone in regards to the banning list, our list, and that is the ones that contain those criminals, those types of criminals and the types of offending which can land them on the list, which bars them, completely banishes them from ever getting into a Safe Bars bar, tavern, or anyone else that's involved inside the project. Now, this list is built to classify the risk towards the community and being proactive in risk identification and risk reduction when it comes to the community when it's out at nighttime socializing inside the hospitality industry. And we do that by identifying the type of crime and the type of offender which commits that crime inside the community. And then, well, in that classification, they then go on to the list. Now, when we look at classifications, there are mainly two main primary types, and those are violent offences and sex crimes. So there are other crimes of which can land the offender from undertaking that type of behaviour or committing that type of offence, which can also land them on the list, which are outside of the main two directive areas. And that brings me to this episode, as this episode is a discussion video upon a type of crime or offence, behaviour, which falls outside of those main two directives, those areas of sex crimes and violent crimes. And that is why I chose this, and that is what this series is about in regard to the classifications of what types of crimes and what types of offenders that are out there inside the community that we can identify to be able to prevent them from ever making a victim of someone inside the community that we are protecting inside the Safe Bars hospitality safety model. So what I want my team to do is watch this short episode on a court case of which brings into light the type of crime of which could or should land someone convicted of this type of crime, which is a harassment crime under our classification of offending, which would place them on the list. So this is a court case where the offender, a male, has been contacting the children of a female and mother of the children when she has said don't. So when you watch this, and if you choose to discuss on whether you think the offender is someone that could reach the level of classification needed for banning, remember the main directive of the Safe Bars Shield, as we call it, and that is to prevent the threat from meeting their victim in a social setting, proactively preventing the probability of the community member becoming a victim of crime or their whānau, predominantly children, tamariki, from becoming victims of the classification offender, but also balancing that removing a person's ability to socialise in bars, clubs, etc. is a very big restriction upon someone's life. And though we don't need to meet the same threshold as a court, which is beyond reasonable doubt, it is that the model does use the court system and its output for identification and placement of the offender into those classifications. So with all of that, welcome to episode 1 of the team discussion series I've called Classifications. And I, MEEzi, DCA, will see you guys at the end.
Amber Klein, raise your right hand with me. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then Mr. Budahas, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Mr. Budahas, in reading all the information that you filed here, I thought I looked at that. Yes.
This is an info cert. First up, we know from what the subject says that he doesn't have a lawyer to assist, and that he has the ability to create and submit a memorandum / declaration in regards to the courts and the conduct. And the reason I say this here is that here you're going to see the subject interact. You'll hear that he speaks slowly. And as such, people may think that that relates to intellectual ability, and it's not to allow yourself, when analysing a subject, to use empathy. In feeling sorry for him and using the excuse of he probably didn't know any better. Never think along this track, as it will detach you from assessing correctly that someone that has an intellectual handicap would not be able to submit a signed declaration / memorandum to a court. Now, with that lens adjustment and maybe even a correction, let's carry on with this analysis.
Let me get that. So, Mr. Budahas, I understand from what you filed more recently that so you say you take full responsibility for your actions. What are you? I'm trying to understand. Are you objecting the court issuing this order?
Yes.
Okay.
I would like it to be dropped, but I take responsibility that led up to the
reason for it being filed?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Now, to sum that up, this subject wants the restraining order, of which they're in court now for, to be dropped, so as he can have contact with Miss Klein's children.
So let me turn to you first, Ms. Klein. And I've had an opportunity to look at everything that everyone's filed. Looking back at, see if I got any questions here. So, Amber Klein, anything you want to say about all this, or what Mr. Budahas filed?
I definitely want to proceed forward for sure with it. The declaration, of course, is defamatory and libel.
Which declaration? Which declaration?
The 6-page declaration he wrote.
Mr. Budahas's.
And now we know that little Miss Klein here knows enough about law in regards to making shit up by knowing those two little terms, libel and defamation.
Yes.
Okay.
That.
So tell me what you have to say about that.
The inappropriateness of claiming inappropriate things my kids had done, which have not done or acted on.
This gives us more about his mentality, the subjects, by Miss Klein stating that the information of which the subject put in his declaration and submitted to the courts that she says is defamatory and libel, and that he has said inside that declaration that it's her children, her minors, these girls, of which are doing inappropriate things and using inappropriate language. This is what he has put in his declaration to justify the means for this order to be struck out. That's the mentality, that it's the victims, if they were to be alleged victims, brought it upon themselves.
So this is about your allegations in your petition and his response to them, and it sounds like
Has nothing
minors.
to pertain to this case.
Pardon?
Has nothing to pertain to this case.
And that kind of seals the deal, really, because that information from Ms. Klein lets us know that he doesn't have a reasonable or rational excuse for the behaviour of which has led to breaching the non-contact order that was put in place before when the trespass was placed in. And this is the next bit we'll get to.
Now, these are not biologically, any of these kids are not biologically Mr. Budahas's, right? That's what I understand.
No,
Okay.
no, absolutely not.
Not by no relationship through marriage.
Nope.
No.
Never dated.
And there hasn't been any court placing or giving guardianship or custody or anything to Mr. Budahas. Okay.
No.
All right. So these are all the 5 children that you name here are yours
Those are mine.
biologically, by marriage. How?
Biologically.
Okay. So you're responsible for them. All right. And there aren't any other Superior Court orders or anything concerning these children and Mr. Budahas.
No.
Okay. All right. And so your allegations here is that, let me get to what you're saying. So over what period of time, when did you first think that you clearly told Mr. Budahas he wasn't to have contact with any of these 5 kids? February 21st event where you alleged that pushed in the door to gain access. Cops were called. He was trespassed on 2/21/25.
Yeah, but I stated in my evidence, I think it was in January of 2024, of do not contact me anymore.
And how did you communicate that to Mr. Budahas?
Via text.
And was there any response to that from Mr. Budahas?
I know there's just multiple responses after that. They just kept coming in, and I eventually just stopped. I didn't engage.
So when you say that on February 21st, when, quote, the cops were called and he was trespassed, what does that mean he was trespassed? What happened?
He showed up at our house and refused to leave, so we called the cops.
And what happened?
They trespassed him with a trespass slip, and he had to be removed from the property.
Okay, so there was a document that said he wasn't allowed to come back to the property.
Which I also filed in with the evidence as a yellow piece of paper saying he was trespassed for the next year.
All right. And then thereafter, was there any time that you allowed Mr. Budahas access to your children or access to the property after that?
No. Nope.
Okay, no messages saying it's okay for this one time? No.
Nope.
All right. So it was an absolute at that point.
Oh, yes.
Miss Klein's very definitive in her making sure that the judge understands that she and her kids have had no more contact with him. And I think the judge now knows that, yes, it doesn't seem like Miss Klein was leading him on or dragging him on or using him on at all. That it seems to be no. And by all accounts, a no thank you.
And so how did you find out that he was messaging or contacting your children in certain ways?
They showed me.
Your children showed you?
Yep.
Okay, and so what did you see?
That he had messaged Cisna, my daughter, on Roblox through a gaming app.
Okay, that's a gaming app. All right. That was on April 1st, you said. And then did you receive any contact?
He was contacting me on and off through Instagram.
All right. And what did you do when you received those Instagram messages?
I didn't respond.
And then contact with?
Yes. He contacted her. Originally, that's why we cut off our relationship, was he contacted our teenager and engaged in inappropriate language with her.
Okay. All right. And in talking with now she's a minor, and
yep.
But did she initiate any other contact after that you're aware of?
No. Nope. Okay. We immediately blocked the number.
All right. And were you aware of contacting Mr. Budahas in violation of your order to them?
You mean after she hadn't contacted him after the order?
After he was trespassed, after you told your children not to contact him? Do you know if his kids contacted Mr. Budahas?
Not as far as I'm aware. I just know that had said something back after she had sent me the original screenshot.
Okay.
On Roblox, but hadn't contacted him since.
At the time was 13, 12, 13?
13.
Okay.
If indeed her children had contacted the subject after she had said no, I'm pretty sure that in that 6 pages of that memorandum / declaration that he put in, he would have definitely put those messages in there saying that this is what made me think that I was still able to bypass a mother's order.
Still 16?
Yes.
Okay, and everyone else is younger, so between 9 and 16 years old still?
Yes.
And when this is going on. All right. Okay. And what are you asking the court to do here?
Just absolutely no contact, harassment, stalking.
All right. With you and your 5 kids?
Yeah.
And so looking at the temporary order, is that what you're looking to continue with?
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else before I turn to Mr. Budahas?
And then I am requesting to seal our case because of the declaration. He names minors that they do not consent to this libel and defamatory statements that he has made against them.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right. So, Mr. Budahas, then I've read, and obviously Amber Klein's read what you've filed with the court. What would you like to say about this order, whether it should issue or not?
So summing up, as I do, Miss Klein's side, the subject was an informal relationship with Miss Klein when he contacted the young daughter of Miss Klein and used inappropriate language. When upon finding this out, in Miss Klein says 2024, but you'll hear the subject mention the year 2023. But Miss Klein says 24, early in January, informed the subject that he was not to contact her or her children again. From that time, the subject tried on multiple occasions to do so and was not replied to. Then in February 24, the subject went to Miss Klein's and her daughter's residence, and upon being told to leave, forcibly tried to enter the house before having the door closed upon him, where he remained at the residence outside until the police arrived and formally trespassed him and removed him from the property. After this, the subject then contacted Miss Klein's daughters again by way of children's gaming platform in 2025, and that action has led to the request of a restraining order placed upon the subject to stay away from Miss Klein and her 5 children, and obviously the residences where they reside. And now we should hear what the subject has to say in his argument that he should be allowed to have a relationship with Miss Klein's underage daughters.
I would like the case to be dropped, Your Honor. When I initially made contact with Kara Pixley, it was trying to let her know, no, that is not okay. And it was an awkward situation for me, Your Honor, because I didn't want to lose my friends at that time, and I didn't really know how to approach that. I've realized I should have brought it up the next morning.
And so we're
Honor.
referring back to when? And can I have the packet,
When I
please?
initially made contact with Cassandra back in
Is that August?
2023, when they initially cut me off.
Okay. So tell me, kind of step back here and help me understand. So you've known Amber Klein how long?
I would say 7 years, Your Honor.
Okay. And then, so you've known the kids then for that same amount of time?
Correct.
All right. And then were you at any time, I don't know, what was the relationship? Were you living in the house?
No, I was a friend that came over. They asked me to watch the house and the kiddos when the Wyatt Pixley was up at the hospital for a heart and kidney transplant.
So they asked you to watch their kids in the house when they were
Correct.
busy with some medical emergencies. Okay.
Mhm.
And that was...
So that's his play, that the only time that they called him to look after the kids was when there was a medical emergency because someone was going into cardiac arrest.
All right. And so throughout those 7 years, is that...
I made a connection with the kiddos, Your Honor. I was considered an adopted uncle.
Okay. So you were never given any parental authority over them by a court. You weren't given a guardianship. They weren't placed
Correct.
with you. Okay. So it was just simply through the parent that gave you allowance to have any relationship with.
Hear that? Hear what she said? The judge uses the word, she gave you the allowance.
Simply through the parent that gave you allowance to have any relationship with their
Yes.
minor kids. Okay. All right. So going back then to the petition here, can you tell me a little bit about that February 21st event that's alleged that you came over and the allegation is that you forced your way in?
With the allegations on February 21st, Your Honor, I was recently fired from my position through City of Lacey because Byron and I, we were both working at City of Lacey.
So Byron is?
Byron Scortsman. I believe that is Amber Klein's boyfriend, lover.
Okay, so someone who lives in the house, an adult who lives in the house in a relationship. All right.
And I tried explaining to him this situation through text of the incident that happened when they initially cut me off. But on February 21st, I just wanted to get closure, who was startled me awake, which led me to my termination of my City of Lacey position, and just ask him who it was, why, and
So that's the subject's justification for reasoning on what he has just told the judge now about why he went. What was his motive to go to Miss Klein's house when her children were home at night time and try to force his way in? That he wanted to talk to Miss Klein's partner about the fact that he was fired from his job because someone had startled him on a couch somewhere. That's what he just told this judge to justify the reason of why anyone would go over there, after explicitly being told never to contact them again.
I still cared about the kiddos.
So what did you do? You came to the house.
I came to the
And
house, I knocked on the door and asked if Byron was there.
Okay.
And
Who answered the door?
Megan Scortsman.
Okay. Another adult in the household.
Yes.
All right.
Which
And then?
she said no, I had to leave.
Okay.
So I put my foot by the door as she was trying to shut it, which I realized that was bad.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I just wanted closure. Who startled
So you put
me away.
You put your foot to prevent the door from closing.
Which
So I'm being told the cops are called. So how long did this go on before you talked to police?
It was a split second when I put my foot on the door, and I just sat on their porch playing word search and Yahtzee, waiting for someone to answer
the door?
Yes.
Did you know that the police were on the way?
I did not.
And as the subject says, that Amber did not tell him that she had called the police, but in this next breath, straight after that, he then informs the judge, oh yeah, but that's right, she did say if I didn't leave, she was going to call the police. J4.
Okay.
Amber did inform me to leave the property and she would call the cops.
Okay. And so you stayed on the porch because you really wanted to talk to Byron,
Yes.
even after Amber said you got to leave.
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor.
And you realize putting your foot in to stop the door from closing is wrong.
Correct.
Okay. And then so you meet with the law enforcement. You agree around February 21st?
Correct, Your Honor.
And what happened there?
I informed them I was trying to chat with the old friend that recently got me terminated from my position. And I believe one of the police officers that answered was part of the community response unit that I was working with during my position. And I just informed the officers that I got terminated from my position, and I was trying to get closure on the situation that happened to our friendship falling out.
Yeah.
And they filed the no trespassing notice for up to 1 year and gave me a copy, and I left.
Okay. So in your position with the City of Lacey, you understood what those trespass warnings were? Is that the first time you'd heard of that, or?
I heard that City of Lacey, they trespass the homeless individuals that are living on City of Lacey property or behind businesses or Department of Transportation land.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
There's the dumbness of this genius. You see, the subject has just gotten out his tactic for trying to manipulate the judge into thinking that when he thinks of trespass and the law, that only would apply to homeless people and bums. This guy expects the judge to be that dumb to think that his intellectual handicap prevents him from understanding the basics of law. And that is why clowns like this do not impress me at all. And empathy only goes to the deserving.
how they process the no trespassing. It's no longer a 72-hour notice. It was 24 hour the next day, so we could go in and clean up.
But so the trespass order that you got told you for the next year from February 21st?
Correct, which is do not come onto their property for up to 1 year.
Okay. All right. And so then there's an allegation here going into April, text messages with the 15-year-old.
That was
that come to be
before.
And now the story he so brilliantly has put together starts to fall apart rather badly.
The no trespassing slip, that was way before me getting terminated and trespassed from Amber Klein, Byron Scorpsman, and Megan Schwartzman's property.
that was reading that wrong. That was alleged April. April 21st of 2025. April 1st of 2025 is the allegation that you were contacting Natalie. And April 2nd through Instagram with Amber. All right. And so what do you have to say about that Roblox chat with Natalie on April 1st of 2025 after the order to stay away from the house?
I felt like I was still attached to the family, and I had a hard time processing that I got fired and my friendship of 7 years and all the time and resources that
And now he's indicating that now the family owes him. And that there is the rationale in his mind for doing what I want.
gave the family. I thought I could at least wish Natalie a happy birthday.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, all right. And so then the next day, messaging Amber Klein, she said she received several Instagrams that she didn't respond to. Any comment about that?
Yes, Your Honor. With that, if I saw any cool stuff that I knew the kids would like or would enjoy, I would message them to Amber Klein, and I know she wouldn't respond. I just did it anyway. I wished them, when it was the kid's birthday, I'd still send a happy birthday or happy New Year's, Easter.
Okay. So we understand from Amber Klein that she told you by text not to contact her. When do you recall the first time that happening, and what did you take that to mean?
The question we've been waiting for. What did the subject take "don't contact me" to mean?
That was back in April 23, Your Honor,
April of 2023?
or some time in 2023, Your Honor. That was when she reached out, and during that time I was obliged by it, Your Honor.
Okay. So
And
you didn't contact. So when after that, so you say you obliged that request not to contact her April 2023. So then there's allegations from August that you're showing up unannounced and refusing to leave, August of 2024.
that was initially what I was trying to tell Byron Skortsman the situation, because during that time, Your Honor, we were still somewhat friends. I was giving him space, but during our initial first contact after 3 months of no contact with Byron Skortsman, I have a hard time explaining in detail of what had happened. So I was constantly trying to reach out to Byron Skortsman of, hey, we need to link up or ask how the kids were doing. But he didn't allow me to explain in depth what had happened and see if our friendship could still work.
A question for MEEzi would be, would the subject still want to have a relationship with Byron if he wasn't with Miss Klein, and if Miss Klein didn't have children?
Hence why I showed up at their house on August 24. I thought the kids were at their dad's.
He isn't very good at lying.
And I thought it was just the parents, Your Honor.
Okay.
But I found out through Byron messaging me that I scared the kids. I was quiet. I just knocked on the door, and I was trying to explain my side of the story to Byron.
And that was back in August. Okay. And then we see it again in February. You're still trying to explain.
Yes.
All right. And you're still
trying to get closure of who startled me awake on the couch when I was house sitting.
All right.
Or
still looking through your information and the petitioner's information, see if I have other questions to kind of help you get out what you're trying to say. So then February, so you're not getting in responses from Amber Klein about instant messaging. Previous to that, law enforcement tells you, if you come back, we'll arrest you.
correct.
Notice. And then over a period of 6 months, you're trying to get in touch with Byron at the house, and he's not responding to you. And all right. And then the messages to the kids that Amber Klein objects to, her children being contacted by you. Were there when did you hear from Amber Klein that you remember her telling her, don't contact my kids?
And that was when I initially showed up at their house at August.
Okay. All right. Did she tell you differently that you could have contact with anyone or all of the kids after that August event?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. And so then In April, there's a contact through Roblox with Natalie. Is that right? April 1st, around
Correct.
there? Okay. And then, all right. And why? Why did you do that after she told you not to?
I just wanted to wish her a happy birthday, and still I wanted to reach out, like not in a just say, hey, hope everything's doing well.
All right.
Because I haven't had contact with them since August of, or since they cut me off way back.
In 2023 sometime?
Correct.
Okay.
When Byron and I were still somewhat friends, Your Honor, and I gave them boundaries.
I gave them boundaries for 3 months.
For about 3 months, and Byron informed me that maybe by February or March 2024, you could come by to the house and go to baseball games, be invited to birthday dinners again.
Okay.
But
that didn't
don't.
go over well, because at that point in February, when you did go back,
that was
Police
when I was
were called.
terminated from my position, Your Honor, with City of Lacey, and I wanted closure of what happened that night, and to say I'm sorry and wish like I did it differently, Your Honor, and I would still try to be friends and still do nice things, even though they informed me to not.
all right. Anything else you want to say? I sort of gave you a lot of questions to try and help you get information out that I had questions about. Anything else? You wrote a lot of information down. I read through all that information.
I have nothing else, Your Honor.
Okay. I have a question of you, Amber Klein. Byron, is he a parent biologically or by marriage to any of these kids?
Not those 5, but his other daughter does live with us full time, my stepdaughter.
Okay, but these 5 are yours and not his.
Yes.
Okay.
Technically, yes.
And you may be in a relationship that isn't marriage, but I'm just trying to find the legal boundaries here.
Yeah.
And he hasn't given any guardianship over these 5 kids. He hasn't been by a court, hasn't said he has any parental rights over these 5 kids. Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. Well, Mr. Budahas.
And now we'll see what the judge has to say.
I am going to issue this order. And the reason being, I find that there's been unlawful harassment as it is defined under the law. Whether you like it or not, whether any of us like it or not, no matter that you may have a relationship in the past with minors, the parents get to decide, and the parents is the final word, and you don't get to try and talk them out of it. You do nice things to talk them out of it, do mean things to talk them out of it, use force to talk them out of it. You can't. The parent decides, and you have to abide by that. So no contact with these kids. And now a court order is saying don't contact these kids. And Amber Klein as well. And now Amber Klein is asking for this order, and I would hope that then she would, and it sounds like she hasn't gone back on what she's asked quite some time ago, that you not contact her, not by Instagram, not by leaving gifts, not by coming by, in no way, shape, or form, not through others, not through family, friends, social media, in any way. You got to leave everybody alone. And you stay away from their house. And so I'm going to give you a copy of, you've got a copy of the temporary order. This is going to mirror that. All those 5 kids are included. So the danger is that you're arrested and charged with a crime if you contact in violation of this order, Amber Klein, or any of these 5 kids, and they're listed in the order. So I'm going to write up that order. I'm going to give you a copy.
So that does bring me to this. Would you class a subject as reaching a level of threat? You see, in Aotearoa, he would have already breached the 1997 Harassment Act for the continuous attempts at contact with the mother. But you have to figure in that there are also children involved. And if an adult that has been told by a parent not to contact them or their children and does not comply, and at one stage has to be removed by the police, do you think that that person is capable threat to another female or children? And if you could, because you have now been made aware of the subject's behaviour, would you prevent the subject from getting access to social settings where there are people that are not aware of the subject's behaviour? Should you prevent the subject from entering those settings? If you could, let us know in the comments below. And I'll also place a poll vote link below on yes, let him in, or no, prevent him. And finally, I'd like to say thanks for participating if you do. I really do appreciate it. It's always good to have open discussions about things like this and the project. Now, these classification episodes will be coming along. I've got another one coming out rather shortly. Until then, all of you, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next episode. Ka kite.